Alright, so in today's video I'm going to talk about training for intermediates and how to make your very own intermediate training program. Now, first and foremost, we're going to take a look at what the main differences are between beginners and intermediates. I've actually already talked about this in a previous video, but I'm going to talk about this again in this video since it is quite important. So two main differences. First one being that an intermediate will have a much better technical grasp of the exercise compared to a beginner. If you programmed your training well as a beginner, you will have done a lot of sub-maximal work, so you will have drilled in technique for months and months and months, ending up with a very good technical grasp of the exercise as an intermediate athlete. The second difference between beginners and intermediates is that intermediates recover a lot slower from workouts compared to beginners, because like I've talked about in one of my last videos, a beginner can really max out on a certain exercise and repeat and improve upon that performance a couple of days later. Intermediates simply cannot do this, simply because the weights that they will be lifting will be a lot heavier, therefore recovery costs will be a lot higher. For that reason, you will really space those hard workouts further apart as an intermediate compared to a beginner. Now I'm gonna give you some really general recommendations if you want to program for intermediate trainees. The first one being that you really have to start differentiating between two workouts if you program that exercise more than once a week. Already talked about in a previous video, and also the last thing that I touched earlier on in this video. Once again, intermediates recover a lot slower from workouts, therefore you really have to differentiate between two workouts if you do the exercise more than once a week. That way you'll end up with a heavy and a light day, or a volume and an intensity day that I fully talked about in previous videos, so check those videos out if you have not already. The second thing is that sub-maximal work is still important as an intermediate, just like it was when you were a beginner, since you really want to cement that good technique, and also because the recovery cost of going very heavy and doing very intense workouts is a lot higher. That is why the vast majority of your volume in an intermediate training program is sub-maximal, just like it was when you were a beginner. The third thing is that recovery management is very key as an intermediate, once again because recovery cost of heavy workouts is a lot higher now, so you really have to be mindful of how much effort that you're putting into certain workouts and making sure that is the right amount of effort to put in that workout, in that phase of your training program. And then lastly, something I also talked about in previous videos is that cycling rep ranges becomes very important at this point. As a beginner, you can literally train in the exact same rep range for months and months on end, and as intermediate, you simply cannot do this anymore. So at that point, it becomes, at this point, it becomes very important to really intelligently cycle rep ranges as you move through a training program. And then it's all about what type of progression model that you choose for your intermediate training program. Like you guys know, you have linear, wave, and you have step loading. Step loading I'm not going to talk about in this video. Linear loading I think is still very valuable for an intermediate training program. However, you really have to be a little more careful of like what kind of ways that you pick for those rep ranges, but I'm going to talk about that further down in this video. And also wave loading I think is definitely something to consider if you are an intermediate athlete, because I tried it I think about a year ago, and my squats, pull up and dip went to the roof when I started using wave loading. So definitely something to consider if you are an intermediate lifter. And then to finish off today's video, I'm actually going to work out an example of how to make an intermediate training program for you guys, so that you actually have an example of how to put all this theory that I talked about in this video into practice. First of all, this is one way to do it. There are multiple ways to go about this. I'm just going to show you guys one of the ways to do it. So we're going to make a program with an exercise, doing the exercise twice a week using linear progression. progression, and we're going to be using a heavy and a light day. So week 1 is going to be a 3x10 on 60% to start off this training program. We're going to keep this first workout very light, even though it is our heavy day, to really make sure that the quality of these reps are very high and that we have a lot of room to improve. Now then we're just going to add about 2.5 kilograms to this every single week until we fill out how much weight we can do for that 3x10 before moving on to the next rep range. So that might take you 4, 5, maybe 6 weeks until you reach the weight that you can actually just barely do a 3x10 with. At that point, we will have finished our first training block and we're going to move to the second one. We're going to start off week 1 of the new training block with a 3x8 with the weight that we did our 3x10 with the week prior. That is going to be once again a very easy workout, allowing ourselves to recover from last week. From there, building ourselves back up by adding 2.5 kilograms every single week to that workout until we once again finish or fill out how much weight we can use for a 3x8. Those are 2 training blocks, and you can work that further down to 6s, 4s, doubles, triples, singles, 5s, whatever, but you really start to see what the general principle is here in this example. Now on the light day, we're simply going to start off with a 3x10 on 50% and simply progress the exact same way, adding in 2.5 kilograms to that workout every single week. But because we're doing about 10% less on that workout is going to stay relatively easy for the entire duration of this program. So that is a very simple example on how to do this, really focused on filling out how much work we can do for 3 sets of whatever reps, whatever rep range. You can also use top sets to really fill out how much weight you can do for a top set in a certain rep range. You can also step load, you can also do a combination of a lot of things. And that is essentially the entire video for today. Hope this actually helped you guys to make your own intermediate training program. If you still have any more questions regarding this topic, let me know down below in the comment section. And like I've talked about in previous videos, I'm gonna hopefully start doing some online coaching very soon to give you guys some professional help if it comes to writing out your training programs. So for now, thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already and share the video. Any more questions or video ideas, let me know down below in the comment section. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for watching and latest.